What's happening? What's good, dough? It's your boy iDrift, and today we have an amazing episode. We have on a world pizza champion who has been doing the thing for so many years, has so many experiences, and was just recently promoted as an ambassador to a cheese company that I particularly love. And we touch on all of those things, but not to worry, the nitty-gritty meat and potatoes is about mobile catering. Something I'm super interested in lately because I have gotten a taste of the goodness, the richness of mobile catering for real. And I have this opportunity to have an hour-long conversation about what to do and what not to do in the mobile catering space from a pro, Siler Chapman, King of Fire Pizza. We talk about his history, how he got into the business, but most importantly, we talk about his best tips from automatic gratuities to staff to scale to everything I could possibly ask about mobile catering. And I think you're gonna get so much value from this episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And remember to always ask, what's good, dough?
What do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about mobile catering.
I
want to talk about.
I can do that.
I want to talk about if I should upgrade. I want to talk about if I should upgrade to a setup like what you got.
What are you doing right now?
So, I started off doing parties. The first time I did it, I like donated 6 pizzas. To a nonprofit. The person bid. They won. It was an auction, and then they were like, I'm going to hold on to this until I get a baby shower, right, for my daughter. She ended up buying 4 more pizzas. I made 10 pizzas on the spot. I loved it. I had my uni and everything. Yeah. I forgot a propane tank. I was so scared.
Oh, yeah.
And then from that point on, somebody who was there went on to go and book me a few months later, and I was like, dang, do I really want to get paid for this? Let me just throw out a number so that she says no.
Right.
I was like, 40 ahead. She goes, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, what? You want to pay $40? Now I got to perform. And every single person after that was like, hey, I had you at this person's, this person.
So we can go real deep into that. And then we're not started yet, right?
We could, if you want.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's very casual.
Oh, man. Yeah. Okay. So every gig you do.
Yeah.
And whether it's mobile, a pop-up, you just cook the pizza for your friend down the street. You always get a referral. And I didn't believe that when we came into the game. It was like, I had a guy named Tommy tell me this, and he was like, you're going to get a referral every gig you do, so perform at the highest level every time. And we did 107 weddings last year. This year we have got on the books 132 for 2024.
That's crazy.
So that is so true. Someone's going to refer you again, and keep on referring you. And that's, now I'm completely off the trucks. So how do I teach and coach, to perform at that same level to a manager, because now this is everything we have. And it can be ruined by one bad review. So at the end of the day, you've got everything has to be perfect from your looks all the way down. Even if you have an angry customer, just say yes and figure it out. Like if we got to go to the grocery store because that person has a diet restriction that forgot to tell the bride and groom, then go get it done.
Go get it done.
Go get it done. And trust me, my team hates me for that because it's an ongoing joke. We're a yes company. I mean, if the kid wants a peanut butter and jelly, go to the store and get him a peanut butter and jelly. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my goodness.
And there's limits to that. People will, unfortunately, there has to be a limit to it. But 99% of the time, we're going to say yes and figure it out.
Give a shit and make it happen.
That's right. You have to.
Because people are paying a premium for these types of events.
And to us, we look at it as a premium, but they think we're also on the bottom of the barrel. So watch where I'm going with this. The average plate right now in the wedding industry is $60. We start our packages at $26 and work our way up to like 35. Okay? So you even being at 40 is great. I mean, that's phenomenal. Now, what side of town are you on? Or what state?
I'm in California.
Oh yeah, so you can get more, right? And so
That's what I like to hear.
Sleight of hand. Do you ever watch
Justin
Watstein? He's phenomenal. He doesn't leave the house unless he gets $3,500 minimum.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean? So think of it like that. You know.
Well, here's the thing: the $3,500 minimum is so important because it has to be worth it for you to get up off your couch. Not saying Justin's on his couch all the time, but also with going back to the 130 some odd weddings that you have, do you, by booking out that far in advance or booking so many and locking it in, do you sort of create that missed opportunity where bigger clients can't book you? Because people will pay more if it's last minute. People will pay more if, you know, their wedding's next week and their caterer dropped out.
And it's funny, like we're getting a lot of those calls right now where their caterer backed out 30 days in, or they're just on a whim trying to put something together. And I'm like, y'all are so last minute, you know? At the beginning, no, we would take anything and everything. Luckily today we have 7 food trucks. So we, you know, I don't like to do more than 5 weddings at a time.
In a day?
In a day. Because
I don't like
next weekend I have 5 weddings. One's a 235 person, and everything else is over 150 person per thing. So now it becomes a staff issue, right? Even though I have 7 trucks, it still becomes a staff issue.
Yeah.
Because at that level, you got to have 5, 6 people, you know, being able to crank it out. You got 2 servers. You've got, you know, all the little dynamics, but keeping up. And you know, with a wood-fired oven, it's an art. Keeping that bottom where it's cooking right and not having raw bottoms, that's the art, right? How do you keep swapping the oven back and forth and making sure you can produce 100 pies in an hour, you know? That's what we've mastered.
Damn, that is crazy. So tell me about this oven that you use, because I know you build trucks. Mm-hmm. Are you...
Now, don't build trucks. We buy them from a manufacturer.
Got you.
Yes.
And then you assemble the kitchen and everything people need.
No, we now turnkey it. We let them do it all.
So what is King of Fire, the business?
King of Fire is the brand.
That
is the pizza. And the reason I didn't put pizza behind it is with wood fired, you can do quarter chickens. You can cook meatballs in the oven. You can do all that. I do stuffed mushrooms for appetizers in the fire. So we wanted to keep it broad line. Because when I first started, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to do pizza, but I knew I wanted to do weddings, but I'm not going to turn anybody down. So we kept it King of Fire because you can cook anything in fire.
I like that. And maybe we can talk a little bit later about, you know, the offerings that you do, not just pizza, because that's, you know, I think people are considering whether it makes sense to do appetizers and get complicated like that. But like on the topic of, you know, you helping people build their business. I saw the guy over from Squared Up Pizza Tucson. Mm-hmm. Over at, do you remember his name?
Yeah, Patrick.
Pizza Pat. He was over at your spot.
Yes.
What exactly were you helping him out with?
So he wants to go mobile. You know, brick and mortar, times have been getting tough with a lot of people, right? And he was in a mall and unfortunately had a bad setup where the mall gets dead. COVID killed the malls. So if you're in a mall setting, things are going to get worse. And oh, by the way, the mall wants to raise your rent every year, right? So at a point, you got to come out of that situation. And the best answer for me to him was go mobile. And, well, Siler, I don't do wood-fired. You don't need to do wood-fired. Do your brick oven pizza. So I helped him find and made the perfect trailer for him so that he could actually, you know, put a wood, you know, a nice, I think he has blodgets. And so he's putting some blodgets in there. And he'll be able to run overnight, start a full-blown company.
And is that part of the King of Fire brand? You're helping people get started?
No.
This was just a friend-to-friend kind of thing?
Friend-to-friend kind of thing, yeah. So I'm you know, our thing definitely with the World Pizza Champions is community versus competition, right? If you've got a question, you need to reach out to us. We'll help anybody in the industry. And I've got guys literally a mile down the road from us, and they call and ask questions about their dough, their sauce, how they're doing this, what kind of how to get better in production, right? How to get faster. We live in this crazy world today where everybody wants it now, not 20 minutes. You know, back in the day, you go to an old mom and pop shop, you'd wait 20 minutes before you got your pizza. They wanted it on the table in 14 now. So how do you adjust your performance levels to do that? And you still got to deliver out the back door. Well, they don't want it in an hour. The mom and pops that aren't delivering in under 30 minutes are dying. So you got to figure your game out on how to execute and get those pizzas out faster. So that's what we do as the World Pizza Champions, really help the community out. And we're not your competition. We want to be community and family, right? And so I think that's huge. But King of Fire is, imagine your pizza place. Our pizza place is just called King of Fire. Now, we own a company called Perfecting Pizza, me, Tony G, Scott, and Nick Bogaz. We own perfectingpizza.com. That's more self-help. That has every resource from A to Z on how to open a pizzeria all the way to how to sell your pizzeria. And then every style of pizza dough or any style of pizza, we have videos on how to, we have pizzeria profiles. But that's more of a self-help thing. But King of Fire is my pizza brand.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So King of Fire is, for some reason, I thought you were doing build outs for people, selling. You're just helping people out.
We're just having a good time. And, you know, I've been in the pizza game since 2001. So kind of backtrack a little bit. I went to UNC Charlotte for mechanical engineering. 9/11 happened. And I saw this kid come back to class and talk to the professor. And he said, I just lost my job. And I overheard him talking. And I was like, he lost his job. And I went up to him at the end. I said, how'd you lose your job? And he was like, because 9/11. And I was like, so you're telling me someone drove a plane in a building, you're way down here in Charlotte, and you lost your job? And he said, yeah. I didn't understand that. I come from a small town. Didn't understand terrorism, you know? And so at that point, I said, I never want to work for somebody. I want to work for myself.
Wow.
So I went to my best friend's, my best friend, Brian, at the time.
How old were you, sorry?
I was 18 at the time. So I was young because I was always a grade ahead. So I was young. I went to college at 17, almost being 18.
So at 18 years old, you just had the mindset of like, I'm gonna go do this. You weren't scared of anything.
Yeah, that's the love of being young, right? That's the love of being young. There is no fear, right?
Except for terrorist attacks and working for someone else, you were like, I'm fearless.
Yeah. So, and I didn't have any. I was young, naive, and didn't have any comprehension of anything when it comes to like true business, right? But I knew my best friend's mom made one of the best pizzas in Waxhaw, North Carolina. And I said, you know what? I went to her and I said, can I buy the recipes? And we ended up, it was called Ice Cream Pizza Works #2. And that was the birth of like me starting my first place at 18 years old.
How much were those recipes back in the day?
She'll probably kill me. I don't even remember. I think it was like 20 grand. It wasn't that bad. So
20 grand. People pay that much for consulting these days. And so,
oh yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
But then 20 grand back then was
it was a lot of money, right? And so how's the 18-year-old come up and, you know, had build out? My build out was 250 grand. So how do you do it, you know?
How did you do it?
So I wrote a 52-page paper in art appreciation on how a pizzeria would be successful. And I went to my grandfather and my grandmother, and they said, I said, I just want y'all to listen to my presentation. I know you're going to say no, but just listen to it. Because whatever I do wrong here, I want to go, you know, they lived in a country club. And I said, I'm going to go ask all your friends for some money. At the end of the day, that's what I'm doing. And my grandfather, halfway through the presentation, said, stop, looked at my grandmother and said, I'm going to piss $250,000 away to prove him that he needs to go back to college. They were adamant about school. Like they were, you know, the old school thinking, you get a, you know, go get your 4-year degree, go get a good job and work. But they were entrepreneurs too, right? Like, so I grew up in an entrepreneur family. And so he literally said that, and that comment resigned to me forever. And we had him paid back in 18 months.
Damn, dude! Way to stick it. You know, I'm reading Dino Cortopassy's book.
Oh yeah,
Getting Ahead.
Yeah.
And it's like, was your grandfather an immigrant by any chance or anything?
No. It was just just good old mill. They came from the paper mills.
Okay.
My grandmother was a tobacco farmer. So
well, my grandpa's an immigrant grandfather, and like it's just that one belief of like, go to college, get a good job. And Dino's dad also did the same thing. It was just like, I'm going to disown you. Not disown you, basically, but like, I am turning my head away if you say you want to be a farmer again and go do your own thing, right?
Right.
But now you prove them wrong, and like, you know, they're happy at the end. But that's amazing.
Oh, yeah, no, trust me. Like, my grandfather passed a year ago in January, and he would call me still every week. What are your sales? How'd you do this week? Are you good on staff? Like, no matter what, he was so invested in even so, kind of fast backtrack a little bit. We grew that. So when I had Ice Cream Pizza Works, I started traveling. Not Tom, but I'll think of it in a minute. Big Dave Ostrander. Dave called me and was like, "Hey, you need to go check out this pizza competition in New York. And there's guys there that do acrobatics." And this was the month that Tony got on the front cover of PMQ, and he was throwing the dough down his back. And I was like, man, how's he do that? I can't even do that with my dough. I mean, you saw the dough that we did today, and it's like, it just blows out, right? Yeah. So I'm like, how? They're doing something special with that dough.
Yeah.
So I went, and I literally got booed off the stage. I sucked so bad that I got booed off the stage. And Tony, this was the year DVDs came out, okay? And Tony came up to me, handed me this rubber dough and a DVD and says, "Don't ever come back." And I'm like, man, these New Yorkers, they're assholes. Like, they're really mean.
Tony
G did this to me, yeah.
You're a dick, dude.
and so Tony laughs about it because I go to New York, or we go to California, and he's like, "Bro, I'm not letting you compete." Like, I was like, I thought, I'd go to L.A. I heard about a competition in L.A. and ended up, I said, "Dude, if I don't win, you'll never see my face again." Well, that was the year me and Joe Carlucci tied for acrobatics. And so we won a free trip to Italy. And so Tony was, I felt like he was still mad at me. We got on the plane, and he's like, "When you get to Italy, I'm not letting you compete." And I'm like, "Man, what do you mean?" And he was like, "I saw what you did in 6 months. I want to see what you can do in a year. So take your little video camera and videotape these guys. These guys can do 3 and 4 doughs at a time. You can only do 1. And I was like, "What do you mean they can do 2 and 3 and 4? Like, what do you mean?" And he was like, "Just take your video." And then that was the next year we came back and won 06, 07, 08. I really studied, and, we did phenomenal in the team acrobatics, and we took everything. So it was great.
So as douchey of a statement that Tony had made, he was really just doing it out of love.
It's called coaching. He's a true coach. He's a developer. He sees stuff that other people don't see, and they're even believing in themselves. He sees stuff that nobody else can see. And look at what he's done I'm giving goosebumps thinking about this right now. What he's done in the last 15 years, he really made a staple the last 10, huge, big movements of, he came to me and said, "Siler, in 08, he said, we got to start cooking, and we got to be the best." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "We're played out with the acrobatics. We got to be the next best thing in cooking." And I said, "Okay, but I don't know where to start." He was like, "Just watch." He says, and then he made a comment. He was like, "Detroit's about to be a thing." He said that 5 years before anybody even knew what Detroit pizza was.
That's crazy.
And then, then he's coming out and saying Roman, and then he was like Tavern. He was like, "Y'all don't even know." And then he's calling these plays before anybody's actually got it and did it. And now look at everybody. You're able to take those styles and add them. If you have a conveyor, you can add Detroit. If you got a brick oven, you can add Detroit. It's such a great, offering that you can bring that nobody else in town is doing. And that's what I preach to all the mom and pops out there. So anybody listening, you got to keep getting better. Every day you got to put your own self out of business in 6 months because you got that much better. Does that make sense?
What do you do as someone who's considered a vet?
I'm the has-been.
No, seriously, man. You've been doing this thing. You have some accolades. You're clearly doing the right things. But, is it just ingrained in you? What do you do to just, I'm going to keep outdoing myself?
Yeah, no, I think it's motivation, and I'll go back to, I asked Tony that same question the other day. He's like, "Nobody has to motivate me. I motivate my own self," and to me, I think it's more of, I got to prove to myself that I can outdo what I've done already. Like, I'm going to Italy, I'm going to Naples next week, and, the biggest thing that I need a big win. I need a win. And I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm not, I'm not a true chef. I'm a pizziola. But these guys are taking it to the next level. They're bringing flavors in that I'm like, who even dreams of that? Like, how do you even come up with that, And so I'm studying on my end. I'm seeing what they're doing. They're studying harder than I am. So now, okay, cool. If that's what they're doing, I got to study harder than they are. And how am I reading? How am I studying? Who am I getting myself around? I mean, dough has changed so much. So again, the mom and pop guy that's still playing that 20-year-old recipe, you got to go get better because the guy down the street's about to blow you out the water if not. And I say that to so many, and they get their feelings hurt, and it's nothing bad about it. It's okay to change your recipe to get better as long as your customer appreciates it. So what do? We go to the streets to our customers and say, hey, here's our pizza today. Here's this new thing I like. I'm not telling you what we did. Just tell me. And they'll give you honest feedback. And those are the ones that gives me the okay to let's go innovate and be better.
Are you comparing round versus round?
Yeah, 100%.
Putting two in front of their face.
Yeah.
You're not saying like this is the round pizza that we were making. This is our new Detroit style pizza. Clearly, it's different, right?
No.
Okay,
so all I'm doing is changing maybe hydration in the flour, maybe my fermentation process.
I like that.
I'm changing that piece because I think my pizza can get even better by changing the processes. Now we do 5,500 dough balls a week. My guys got to make 5,500 dough balls, 10 little 8-ounce dough balls for 10-inch pizzas, and when you think of that, that's a big magnitude, right?
Yeah. One small change.
One small change can get it that much better. Or you do mobile. You got this thing outside that is fighting us every single day. It's called the sun, right? Dude. And so that dough in 20 minutes can blow out really quick, right? Dude. So how do I teach all my employees and my team members to respect that one little thing of the craft? Don't pull so much dough out at the beginning, but time it. But in the winter months, don't even put it in the refrigerator. Just put it in the truck and go. Because at the end of the day, the heat and the ambient temperature in the trailer is going to warm that dough up enough. By the time you get there, get set up, all that dough is going to be perfect. If it's still in the refrigerator and you're pulling it out, you're putting cold dough in there, you know?
I want to get back to catering because that's where I want to learn from you from. But real quickly on the whole, like presenting the pizza in front of a customer, I really find that like so valuable because it can be objective, right? Because we as pizza makers will look on Instagram or we'll see what Tony's doing. It's like, oh shit, Tony's doing 70% hydration. I got to do that. And then your customers might think it's shit, right?
Right.
So are you like going to trusted customers that you know are regulars, or are you doing every 10 pizzas, give the customer an extra one and tell me no? Tell me what you're doing.
I'm bringing them in. I'm bringing them to the commissary.
Ah.
I'm bringing in the top 10 customers of mine that I believe, trust, and if it's shit, they'll say, Sally, that's shit. You got to find that, you know, and is it your friends? Absolutely. It can be your friends. It can be even your own team that make this every day. But we've had a couple couples in my neighborhood that have, when I started, I'd bring them over to the house and make 7 different styles, all pepperoni pizzas on there, but the sauce was different, the cheese was different, and the dough was different. I said, which one you like? And they're like, hey, we like this dough over here, but we really like this. We really like this. And then they were nitpicking it apart, right? And I'm like, cool. Then I took all that knowledge and put it into one and said, all right, what about this? And they're like, that's it. That's what we rolled with King of Fire. So when I had Size Pizzeria, I did franchise. Well, I was a franchisee for Donato's. We had 25 restaurants for them.
Donato's is a pretty big name.
Yeah, Columbus, Ohio, home of the 101 pepperonis, you know. So I've seen every spectrum from mom and pop all the way to franchise level. And then when I sold those and we had a non-compete for 2 years, that's when I sat on the sidelines and kind of tried to do something different. But the pizza gods brought me back and said, you got to start something fresh. And that's the birth of King of Fire. So
before we go there, I'm glad you took us there. Real quick, going back to the paying your grandpa back $250,000.
2.5% interest too back then.
Did he take ownership after that too, or was it just flat out pay the amount back?
No, pay the amount plus the 2.5% interest. He always told me as a kid, don't come to me and ask me for money. Like if you want to go buy a video game, don't come ask me for that.
Ask me for a loan.
No, he said, if my money can't make you money and me money, then don't ever ask me. And that was the best knowledge that I ever learned from him, because it's so true. Our kids always come up and like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a video game. Don't ask me for that money.
I'm already thinking about it.
You're gonna have to come earn it.
I got an 18-month-old, and I'm just thinking about the ways that I'm gonna teach her about money. Yeah. But paying your grandpa back is 18 months.
It was in 18 months. We had a 5-year note on it.
That's great. You saved yourself a bunch of interest. But what do you think are the 1 to 3 things that made you able to kill that goal?
I had a yes mentality. So we failed every week in the restaurant. We failed. I remember the first week we had our POS print and double tickets. We didn't even catch that. So we're making double pies on a Friday night, and we're throwing pizzas under the oven. Like, it was such bad. One family, and I'll never forget them. They literally waited an hour. He was so mad. He went to his car, and I chased. My mom said he's leaving, and I ran out the door. They had a Explorer, and I jumped on the side on the thing, and I stuck my head in there. I told them how sorry I was, that they could eat for me for the next 3 weeks. Any day of the week they come in, they're on me. I promise this was a fluke. Like, just come back. They literally ate with me for 7 years. After that, they said that was their turning point to become a loyal customer, and now they're Raven fans, and they still support me today, even with the mobile. So I did their graduation party for their kids that were born in our restaurant, essentially. Like, they were 2 months old. They were bringing them in our restaurant, you know. So that's the love of pizza. If you make a loyal or a Raven fan out of your customers, they'll be with you for life. We had a heart doctor. I got bit by a tick. We did his son's wedding for him because he remembered I was the pizza guy, and he looked me up, and I was still doing pizza. He called me. I was like, "This is the only time I could ever use you, so here I am." You know.
I love that yes mentality, and I think that's a good segue going back into mobile catering. We're saying yes to the customers that we want to serve, and we want to make their day special. And you sort of got me questioning, because my next catering event, August 24, I believe, is for my first repeat customer.
Yeah.
And thinking about how you had that customer who you just have a raving fan, how do you manage that relationship with your increasing costs, right? Over time, pizza is going to cost more and more money. Is it even like an issue or a point of discussion?
Only if they bring it up, like, hey, you know, and if it's a repeat, we cook at this lady's house. Like, she has her own wood-fired oven. We cook 3 times a year there. But we straight up say, hey, unfortunately, our packages is going up $1. You know, that $1 on 100 people it's dramatic, right? And so,
yeah, I guess for me, like, $1 isn't a lot, but with 100 people, it could make a difference.
Well, that can cover a lot of food.
Yeah,
your actual true food costs, it can cover a lot, right?
Yeah.
So go up in incrementals, and my rule of thumb is every 6 months you need to be changing prices. Every 6 months, so they're already knowing. The world, I mean, I just read an article, an average family, it's costing them $11,000 more for the same groceries, same everything that they're doing a year. It's costing them $11,000 more, and they're not buying anything different.
Right.
Just off the rip. So again, people are now, this is the best time. If you haven't changed your prices in a year, you're crazy. Just pull the plug. Like, yank the needle out and just do it, because this is the time. You have an excuse. Heck, how many restaurants are you going to now that are putting the 3% service charge on?
Oh my God.
So we do that. We do that for catering. If you're paying with a credit card,
yeah,
we'll put the 3%, because think $3,000 on, or 3% on $15,000. I have a wedding next weekend, $15,000.
And they put it on the card?
No, they paid Zelle. They can pay Venmo. They can do Cash App, or they just pay straight out a check.
Your Zelle and Venmo limits must be crazy, man.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. So, and you got to teach them how to do it in their private setting too. Not, you can't do it as open. Yeah, you can do it private, because Venmo now they'll report to the IRS. So, and that's fine. But tell them to do it private, and then it'll keep everybody happy.
I'm gonna look that up. That's
okay. Well, that's what happened to all the lawn guys. They quit taking Venmo because Venmo has to report. Well, they didn't know if you just click the private button, then it cuts that piece out. So
I'm gonna check
that's a pro tip from Solid Chapman.
Let's talk about pan pizzas for a quick second. What are you using to press out your dough? I found out that whatever fat you use greatly affects the flavor of your pizza. And that is why the only brand I trust with my pizza is Cordo olive oil. Taste is everything, and other brands and other fats pale in comparison. Do you want to taste the difference? Go to cordo-olive.com using the link in the show notes. You can purchase a bottle there, or if you're an operator, you can get a free tasting. Just message me and I'll connect you with them. I'll leave my contact in the show notes. Thank you, Cordo Olive Oil, for sponsoring the podcast. One of the things pizza makers spend the most money on is cheese. Every time I have a catering event, cheese is my biggest ingredient cost. But what if I told you there's a cheese company out there that lets you earn cash back for every pound of cheese purchased? I'm talking about Bacio cheese. And their Gold Club Rewards members receive their rewards card every month that can be used wherever Visa is accepted. So the more cheese you buy, the more you can earn. Literally, you get paid to use Baccio cheese. Now that is cool. Learn more at Baccio Cheese using the link in the show notes.
So, raising every 6 months. Let's go back to quality and giving a shit.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, we can't do this alone.
Right.
All right. I try to pay my guys really well. It's actually my 2 cousins from Pizza My Heart. They are experienced pizza makers, and I'm willing to pay the premium because I know I'm leaning on them. Right. But if I'm to expand this baby company that I'm making, right, I know that I can't be paying them their X amount per hour because I'm really just doing it because I'm getting paid right now. But if I really want to expand, my labor cost has to be a percentage, right? And so how do you teach people to give a shit when your livelihood is on the line? And
well, I think it goes back to really educating them on why we respect the craft of making a pizza. Like, why do we want to give the best?
Okay.
Does that make sense on respecting our craft, right? And understanding why every pizza needs to look like this, or, I'm very consistent driven. So many people freehand throw cheese down. Well, that's one of our number one costs, that and bacon, right? And so it's you got to really, we make everything very systematic on everything's weighed to scales.
So you bring scale, you have scales on your truck?
We have scales on the trucks.
And every pizza is getting weighed out?
Is getting weighed out, or they're getting written up and essentially fired for it, So we're very strong, but they understand why now, because it's not that Siler's trying to nickel and dime everything. It's every time, and you prove this by showing them, hey, you go make a pizza, you go make a pizza, you go make a pizza, bring it back. It all looks different. Why does it look different? Well, that's what your customer's getting. Because I went to his food truck this day, went to that food truck the other day. You got to be consistent, right? Yeah. Well, once you show them to give a damn, then you point out while they're working, and look at that kid's face when he's eating that pizza. Look how happy he is. That right there shows like the internal of someone's soul. Like, I really love making pizzas because I made that kid happy. I made that mom super happy today. She didn't have to cook a meal, but look how happy she is feeding her kids that pizza. And those are the little moments that when you show that to a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid that's working on our food truck, and you're showing them that, they're like, oh, I like that.
That's beautiful.
You know what I mean? Like that's why we're here doing what we're doing.
Yeah, you're helping connect the dots because realistically speaking, pizza makers, the range is it's such a range with pay, and like you can pay someone minimum wage, you can pay someone premium, but even paying someone a premium doesn't automatically make them give a crap.
No, it doesn't, and I'm finding that out in some aspects because I pay way over.
Me too.
But at the end of the day, I want longevity, not turnover.
Me too.
We've done a very good job with that. But again, keeping them engaged on why we're doing what we're doing and keeping that as our forefront is very important. Also, showing pride in you as a human. You got to teach that part too. A lot of people don't coach that anymore. Is, well, why am I doing this? Well, you're doing it because you're proving yourself that you can do something that you're uncomfortable doing. Like I've got we have 6 managers that have to drive trucks and trailers every day. Well, they're not in the trucking business, but in reality, we are in the trucking business. They have to understand, hey, you need to be able to stay off that car's butt because you're not going to be able to stop this rig as fast as you think you can, tearing up equipment all the time. You got to be able to care for the stuff. And how do you teach that? It's so hard because it's not theirs. They didn't pay $80,000 for that setup, so they don't care. So, and then you have ones that do care. They're just, I didn't train them good enough, if that makes sense. So I always put it back on me. I did something wrong as the leader of the group. So how do we coach and develop to be better there? But then teaching the whole giving a damn is so important. But I think they need to take pride in themselves. Like, hey, I did that. Not Siler, I did that. I did this wedding and we crushed it. And we got we just got in like 4 or 5 reviews today, all 5 stars. And, those are my managers. They crushed every single one of those. And that is something that just shows that they actually care to me. You know what I mean?
And if they don't see it themselves, your job as the manager or the owner is to help highlight it. I love that. That's beautiful.
And listen, I'm telling you, like, so many people blame everybody else. I can't get this. I can't do that. I'm not finding any good help. What did you do to create that? Put it back on you. Dude. Take it back on yourself and look at the big picture around. And there's so many times that I used to be so prideful, you know, of, oh, well, they just sucked as a manager. No, I sucked as a leader. Dude. And what am I doing different today to be better leadership for them?
I love that mentality. It really is on us. Because if your team is failing, as the owner, you didn't set them up for success.
That's right.
Dude, my last event, like, it was weird because we had gotten, the timing was off and everything. And, like, we sort of just started making pizza. And it's hard for me to explain just because it was one of those moments where you had to be there. But the reason why we were running all with our chickens, chickens with our heads cut off, is because I didn't have my mise en place ready. I was not barking orders per se, but I felt like I was the captain of the ship and we were at war. And yes. and I don't want to be operating like we're at war. Yeah. I want us to be like a well-oiled machine. And then once we finally got those initial pizzas out, I said, everyone stop, take a break, breathe, let me rearrange some things from that point on. And just we were smooth sailing, dude. Right. And it was on me to like really step back and see why my team was failing. But had I just been like, why do these guys suck right now? What the fuck? Yeah. We would have been like so fucked the rest of the evening.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I get that way. Like when I get on a truck and I get in the moment, like I tell my district manager, Caitlin, I say, do not put me on a slow shift. Put me on where I'm gonna get my teeth kicked in. And then I'm not used to it at that moment because it's been a while. Then I get frustrated because I might have a lot of new green people and I get frustrated. It's like, get it done right now and this way. And then I start barking and then I have to catch myself, take a deep breath. I'm like, they're not trained yet. They're still, we're working in progress. So I catch myself all the time the same way. And I have to apologize after every shift. I'm like, guys, I'm getting better, I promise, because I never used to be that way. But now I have so much stress on the back end we're a monster little operation that it's kind of outgrown itself. And it's like, we're having to redo our systems. We're having to redo everything just to keep up with the growth.
Well, you said 7 food trucks?
Yeah, 7.
Plus you're opening up brick and mortar.
Yeah, we got 2 opening up right now.
Damn, dude.
But one of them is a franchise, and then one is going to be a full, 200-seat, sit down, 4,500 square feet, 5 different styles of pizza. So
a lot's riding on the brand, and you just want to...
Yeah, and you want to do good. And, we've sold our second franchise now, and so it's, you got to... I'm only one person, so we're bringing on so much more leadership team to be able to handle all that, right? I can't do it all. And so that stress has gotten to me the last couple months, but now we got the team in place. We're working towards the end goal there of getting everybody in the right spot for the growth. Because we did 2.1 million last year out of 5 food trucks, and we're probably, without the restaurants, we'll probably push 2.5 to 2.6 this year. Just that. The restaurant's going to push us over 3, but.
So the additional 2 trucks are going to gross you about 200,000 each.
No, but that's halfway through the year. So and so again, the 7. I have 2 of them just sitting there right now because I don't have the staff. We're training the staff, but they're just sitting in the yard. We don't even have the staff on.
So it's just natural growth.
Yeah.
With 5 trucks.
And every time we get a new truck, it's like it gets swallowed up with bookings like overnight. So we know the market's there. And we have 4 other pizza food trucks in Charlotte.
Okay, so I think for me, like, what is it? I mean, assuming I have no brand, which I don't, right? Assuming I'm just getting started, because a lot of the people listening here are either, I don't think they're going to be established silers like that. So let's talk to the people just getting their name out there. What creates marketability and drive for events?
So the biggest piece is starting with who you know, right? Go do one party for your friend.
For free?
Ask for the food cost. Maybe ask for $100 for yourself. Okay.
Are you and assuming this is like, are you telling me like go try to do it by myself or maybe get a friend?
No, go get a friend to help you out.
Okay.
Two of you. One's taking orders and one's cooking and topping, and the person cooking or taking the orders is cutting the pizzas and handing them out to. You know what I mean? Start small. Everything that I did, I started super small. It was just me and my wife. And then it was just me. And then I brought one little person on, and then we had a kitchen person that would just make the dough for us, you know? And we started super small. I started in my mom's kitchen to do this company. You know, I was still running Perfecting Pizza full time, and I only wanted to do 3 gigs a week. But I got hungry because I saw how good it was, you know? And I give a shout out to Carmine Testa, Tony Caramelli, and Justin. They all laughed at me. They said, when you see it really coming in, you're going to get hungry. And I got hungry real quick, and I was like, oh, we can do this 7 days a week. Like, we can run circles.
Is there a demand for 7 days a week of catering?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's mainly corporate then? Or would you
corporate during the week, right? And then Saturday, Sunday is always weddings or graduation parties, little private house parties, you know? You got Super Bowl parties to Memorial Day weekend, you know? There's always something going on, right? Now, I do hate it for my friends that are all up in, you know, up north that might be in, you got winter, you know, that just sucks, you know? We're filming this in Minneapolis, and their winters are trash here. So, you know, I think it's very seasonal for some. But I also know companies that work 6 months, and they take 6 months off because they just tonned it in 6 months. So you can do it that way. That's the beauty of mobile. You have no overhead. You can do whatever you want. You can save up, take the winter months off. If you love skiing, snowboarding, go do that, right? Those are that's what I tell my winter friends. But then they get hungry and they're like, no, we want to go in brick and mortar, you know? So, okay, so this is a stepping stone for something. I went backwards. I went from brick and mortar, could have opened up another brick and mortar, but I went to mobile because I wanted the freedom. I don't like paying the landlord or, you know, I love my food purveyors, but, you know, sometimes you get into some bad leases. You're working for the landlord and the food purveyor at that moment. You know?
I love the freedom, man. I like... I'm gonna do a humble brag, but preface it by saying Ryan from Sanctuary Pizza got me thinking about this. He was like, "Man, I'm making pizzas in Yosemite National Park." And I'm like, "You fucker, that sounds so dope." And then like fast forward 2 years later, I'm like off an acre piece of land in Los Gatos Hills, and like this person lives in like a little mansion, and it has like a river flowing through it, and I'm just like, look at me now, dude. Yeah. This is beautiful to be able to say this is where I'm working. And so it is really cool to have that aspect and not be sort of landlocked.
That's right. That's right. And so going back to the original question, it's like I like starting a party with somebody because you're going to learn a lot, right? If you're brand new to this, you're going to find your kinks really quick or what you forgot, right?
Yeah.
We have a saying, we have a oh shit box. So you got to have a oh shit box. What is that? You keep in your truck a backup pizza cutter, backup ladle, and everything backup. You just have a backup of everything, right?
I bought I bought a propane splitter off Amazon.
Yes.
I only use 2 ovens now because I want to keep it minimal and I want it to all fit in a nice little pickup truck. But I still bring the extra propane tank just in case.
You know, some of the new propane tanks might have a bad valve. You just don't know.
You just don't know, man.
and that's the thing, right?
The benefit of the splitter is that you only use 1 propane at a tank at a time, so it's like you don't have like 1 at 3/4 and 1 at 1/4, but like still just like it sucks. But you have to be prepared.
You have to be prepared. We forget everything. We're all human, right? Yeah. And then when you're in a rush or something's going to happen, right? And you prepare for those things going to happen, you're okay.
Okay. So here's my question for you, Greg, because catering, or like large events, would you say that's the bread and butter of your business, or would you say retail sales? Yeah,
no, funny story. Yeah, so when I talk bread and butter, that's like the icing on the cake, right?
I see.
So that's pure profit. When you're doing weddings, big caterings, private events, that's pure profit. Our bread and butter, what keeps the lights on, is our neighborhoods and our corporate events.
Retail sales.
Yeah, going to a business park and setting up and getting the lunch crowd that way.
I see. Okay, because
that pays for the managers because I give them all salaries and stuff. That pays for all the the day-to-day stuff, right?
Yeah, because going back to the whole like marketing and getting your name out there, doing an event for free is one way, but then like I see people doing pop-ups and getting their name out there, and it's in a way, right? It doesn't have to be an event. You just go and post up at a brewery somewhere, and you never know who's going to pick up your business card and do your thing.
That's right. Definitely if they love your food.
Okay.
And today, you know this. Your food's got to be memorable. I'm sorry. I love everybody out there, but your food's got to be memorable. And if you can't be honest with yourself about that and say, I suck, I got to find a way to make better pizzas. We have a network of friends that teach that, right? So they're all at the right podcast to hear this. I mean, at the end of the day, we have enough connections to go get a good pizza education. 20 years ago, there was none, right? And so now everybody's out to help everybody. And I think it's just, yes, is it expensive? Absolutely. Is it worth every penny? Absolutely. And you're going to get that 20 times over because you actually have phenomenal pizza, something that's memorable that they're going to talk about to their friends. And that's what it's all about right there. But let's go back to one more. You're starting out, you're fresh, you don't know where to go. Go to your local wedding venue. Now, do you want to go jump off and do a 100-person wedding? Absolutely not, because you're talking abroad, and I don't know. And you could tell me this because I don't know how some of y'all do some of the volume y'all do with the unis and all this. I'd have to have like 10 unis out at one time, right? And I love uni. They're a sponsor of mine as well, and I think they sponsor you too, right?
Yes.
And you just won, didn't you? Congrats on that. So, but you know, that's jumping out a bit, right? Cooking for 100 people at once, you better know what you're doing. But go to a venue, talk to them. What's it take to be on their vendor list?
Yes.
Because once you master on how to do production, because think you got to feed 100 people in 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So how do you do it, right?
I really want to highlight the word production there.
Yeah.
Because it's really about that. And I think before I was in pizza or before I saw like commissaries that like pump it out, it's really about that word, production.
Yeah.
Making it efficient and seamless so that people on the receiving end doesn't look like it's like all pieced together like randomly.
Right.
It's about the production.
Yeah, and I started off doing letting people choose 7 pizzas.
What's the magic number now?
4. 4 is a magic number. Yeah,
I'm going towards that.
Yes,
man.
no, because you have to streamline it. Now, no, we're talking weddings, private events, caterings. Okay, stuff that you got to production. You got to put out 100 pies in an hour. On our regular menu, we only keep 7 pies on a regular menu, but I have a food truck that has the volume to keep the store of the food. If I'm doing a pop-up, if I'd go back to the pop-up game, I'd probably do only 3 pizzas and change them up, rotate them, but I better have one pizza that's going to blow everybody's socks off. You know what I mean? And so when everybody's like, well, I don't know how to create that, go look at the websites, go look at everybody's menu and see what's fancy out there,
Everyone listening to this podcast better be following Siler and me on Instagram, because that's the inspiration right there. Yeah. And from that, look at who we follow and then grab the inspiration from there. Right? If you think our pizzas suck, then you damn sure
going to everybody.
4 pizzas. Are you saying grab whatever 4 from my menu?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so all the way from like Tony's Calitalia we have on there all the way to just a basic cheese. Pick what 4 you want.
I see. So do you find that every party is at least picking cheese and or pepperoni? So
yes, the answer is yes on the pepperoni. We upsell them to our honey pie, which is little red pepper flakes and local honey, right? Drizzle that on there, and I'm giving you a tip right there. Try that pizza at home. It's life changing. The biggest. But when I see a cheese, we already have cheese, right? I always ask the question, how many kids are you going to have here?
Yes.
Okay, if it's over a 50% ratio, then yeah, let that be a 4th one. If I got 10 kids, cool. I'm going to throw a 5th one out there and just throw some cheese pies out there just to accommodate those kids. But don't waste one of your 4 on a cheese. Damn. I tell everybody that, and that's the yes in me because they love that. They're like, oh, yeah,
you're such a freaking good guy. But here's the thing, then. You have to have that sort of mentality to do these types of events. Right. You can't be like, I've seen chefs who are just like, pouty face, don't want to talk to people. Like, I feel like that's not the industry for this, or that's not the vibe for this industry. If you don't have the
personality to go out and high five a little kid at a birthday party while you're making pizzas for him, then don't do this. If you're too bougie for that, then just This is fun. It's pizza, first of all. Hold on. Everybody loves pizza. We're bringing bread. We're all breaking bread together. It's pizza. Pizza's fun. Like, so at the end of the day, and for the most part, I see so many people that have that personality. I was shy when I opened my restaurant. And my mom saw that. She pushed me out into the front. She said, I'll handle the kitchen. You handle the front. I'm like, no, I want to make the pizza. She said, nope. And now I'm like the most bubbly person, talk to anybody, all because of pizza. So,
as an owner, I truly believe that I need to be at the front.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing the Expo Line, I'm literally just serving pizzas.
Yeah.
Right? Because I do flip back and forth. If I had it my way, I'd be in front of the uni ovens making sure every pizza's perfect.
That's me, yeah.
But dude, I have to be at the Expo Line. I got to make sure I'm greeting people, smiling, answering questions, because everyone wants to know, like, oh, I got an uni. How do I make good pizza? I got you. But like that is the show. That's part of the experience, I think. Yeah.
And my managers hate when I come on the trailers because I like to work the front line and I mess with every single person that walks up. I'm just messing with them. If I don't get a smile out of it just ruins my day.
Dude,
you know?
The smiles are everything, man. You just never know who's gonna
or who had a bad day and you just made their bad day turn into a great day because you served the best pizza that you could have ever served.
Yeah.
And you served it with a smile, and that was affectionate to them, and you might have made a joke to them. I love making jokes with people. Like, people walk up and say, hey, I'd love a pepperoni mushroom. You want the regular kind or the funny kind? And they look at me like, what's the funny kind? How many people say the funny kind? Like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you're going to eat it in a dead face. Like, you're going to eat this, and in 20 minutes, you're going to feel really funny. And they're like, oh, no, I can't do that. I'm going back to work. I was like, I'll leave it on one slice for you. You know, like, but see, I'm making him smile, right? And that right there will make, and then you know who the 70 babies are. The ones that say, absolutely, I want that on my pizza, and they're dead faced, and I'm like, I'm just playing around. They're like, don't tease me like that, you know? You know that they were born in the 70s. So it's a game, right? And then, so always having a good time with people, you know? Hey, do you want your pizza made with a smile? Do you know how many people look at me and say, what's a smile? I swear to God, try it next time. Try to say, hey, do you want that pepperoni served with a smile? And they're like,
that
what?
one in my life.
Yeah,
that's good.
And but then they start cheesing. I'm like, this is a smile, and he's gonna make it back there. And they know to turn around and smile like that. And it's like an inside joke, but it brings the crew, even if we're in high stress, it brings the crew to a relaxation of like, oh, I like that. Siler's having fun. Let's all have a good time, and then the customer likes it, and that's where the repeat customers come because you're affectionate of. You know, your love to them.
I believe that. Experience. We're in if you're doing catering for a wedding or a party, it's the experience business. Would you agree?
100%.
And is that why you sell per head versus per pizza?
Never looked at it like that. I just did that because everybody else does it, right? Yeah, I mean, that's the argument, right? We serve unlimited food, and we know they're going to tap out, right? We know the ratio, and by the way,
if you know, you know.
Yeah, so on a 10-inch pizza or a 12-inch, the ratio is 65%. So if you have 100 people, you're going to make 65.
That's on a 10-inch or a 12-inch?
On a 10-inch or a 12. That's a good rule of thumb for me.
Yeah.
And so think of it like that, and we cut them into eighths.
Yeah.
And then some people say, well, why don't you serve bigger pies, 16-inch pizzas? Well, think at a wedding or a big private event where people might be dressed nice. You don't want this big jumbo slice.
Yeah.
And you got a pretty dress on or a nice tux, right? You do little finger food, something nice, small. It's unlimited. They can come back, get more. But guess what? The consumption rate is all the same. They're going to still only pull 3 slices. The big guy might go get 4 slices, and that's it. So because it's all consumption and they're ready to go to the next thing. So you think of the food costs alone. I mean, we're doing weddings and our food cost is 10%, you know, so, or it might be 11 at tops.
Yeah.
With fancy pizzas.
I'm about 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to get people on this notion of charge per head.
Oh, absolutely. So the answer is yes. You always charge per head because the industry's doing it. Well, but why don't I just buy 20 pies? Then go to Domino's and order 20 pies. I'm not doing it. We don't serve it. It's the experience, and you sell to them. It's the ambiance of the fire behind me. It's the ambiance of our service and how we're interacting with your guests. Everybody else is doing the same thing.
But there are a couple of people who don't.
Okay.
who are charging per pizza, and I've talked to them on this podcast, and they're probably not listening right now, but I want to be able to send this clip to them and say, this is why you should charge per head.
Yeah, no, so...
Or here, and maybe like support.
Go get your money. It's money. It's your time. I'm not in it to go make 65 pizzas and make $650. I'm not into that game. I'm into going making 65 pizzas and getting $3,000. You know, so how do you justify it by, it's your time, it's your art, your passion, and you, good news, you can get away with it because at the end of the day, the industry is doing it that way. And so get in the habit of doing it. And trust me, it's a fear factor. I'm telling you right now, it's a fear factor. Pull the plug.
Yeah.
If the person you might be talking to, they might understand what you're saying, but tell them to call me. Let's talk through it. I'd love to talk on the phone about it because it is a fear factor. It's so scary to pull that plug and say, well, nobody's going to do it. Well, guess what? They're doing it because I'm doing it. Justin's doing it. Carmine's doing it. Tony Ceramelli's doing it. You're doing it. My girl, the pizza slut's doing it. You know what I mean? Everybody's doing it.
Good for you, Kaylee.
Yeah, so the industry's doing it. You just have to educate your customer. This is how we do it. And it doesn't have to be crazy, $40 a head, you know, but he's California. He can get away with that, you know. We'll be there in 3 years. We'll be at that price, right? We're coming. Now, if we do drinks and, you know, we're in the South, to make sweet tea is 17 cents to make 5 gallons of sweet tea. So, again, it's nothing to add that, but I add $3 per person.
There you go.
So for 100 people, think of this. I'm making 5 gallons and I just charged $300 and it cost me 17 cents.
Okay, so let's talk about these add-ons now, right? We talked earlier about apps, yes or no. Somebody the other day was like, not on the podcast, if I offer a tray of chicken, I know that people will eat less pizza. But then I got to thinking, is chicken not more expensive than pizza in terms of food cost?
100%, yeah.
So what is what's the justification for appetizers and not just fill more people with pizza?
No, so the apps for me, it's $5 a head.
Oh, so it's just an add-on.
It's an add-on. So now we have different tier packages, and everybody can go to kingoffirepizza.com. So I'll say it again, kingoffirepizza.com. Go to wedding and events, look at my packages, copy it. Like, be done.
It's public. They don't have to submit
my
their
prices are right there.
Damn!
I'm letting you know ahead of time. And guess what? My competition has moved their prices up because of me.
Good. And now you can justify moving it up in the future because
that's right. I'll be the forefront leader on that. You know. So again, and then I have one competition. I love them to death. They only have one truck in Charlotte, but they send me leads. And when I can't do a wedding, I send them leads back.
Beautiful.
That's called the community, not competition, right? And we share leads like that because we want it to stay in our community. 1, 2, we want to show each other love that, you know, we can all work together. And so it just makes everything easier in our town. But they're $3 a head per package. They do more expensive than I am. Their minimum is almost double than my minimum. So again, they're the forefront on that level. I haven't pulled the plug yet and did it, you know. So we're justifying $1 a year and maybe every 6 months, and we just keep on creeping on up there, and we'll be there eventually. But they have a huge reputation. They've got a phenomenal product. So again, they have the clientele for that, right? And when people see their prices, they might come to us, you know, so that helps out too. But again, the appetizers, so our packages might just be 4 pizzas only. You get an hour time. The next one goes pizza and salad. Salad does help because the salad fills up their plate, plus they can only put so many slices on at a time. So that does take the consumption rate is still going to be the same. It's not as a harder hit up front, where they just clean the buffet out all at once because that dude just took 8 slices of pizza. Well, if he had salad, he can only take 2 or 3, right? So again, that helps. Then the appetizers, we fulfilled that void in the cocktail hour of a wedding. Okay, so hear me here. The cocktail hour, there's a whole hour gap that they're off taking pictures or doing whatever, but we're going to go back to the corporate side there. So if they're out there, people are hungry, they're getting a beer, they want something to snack on, right? Well, I just charge the extra $5, or my package is $4. Does that make sense? Going back to the packages, you know, we offer the next package has appetizer, salad, and pizzas, right? That appetizer, we utilize that in the cocktail hour. That's if you were to do everything a la carte, you save money by going to that package because it's like $1 cheaper in the aspect of per head for appetizer.
I see.
Then we have like the one that has dessert, appetizer, salad, and that's the king package, right? And so that has everything. But we're also a yes company because we say, hey, you already got cake, so just drop off the dessert and add an app there. We'll let you play that game, so you can have 2 apps as your cocktail hour. Same price, but it's so much more, right?
That's awesome.
And then we can do charcuterie boards, stuff like that. These are just little add-ons that doesn't really take you a lot of time or effort to do. And our apps are super easy. Meatballs, stuffed mushrooms, that's a little time consuming. We do spinach artichoke braids. We sold so many of those this year, and it was a huge hit. We'll take the pizza dough, braid it, and have stuff with spinach and artichoke inside, right? Something so simple, you wouldn't think about it. When you get to the event, you cook it there because it's low and slow in the oven before it goes blazing. So it's just a different dynamic, right? Then we use the fontanini meatballs. They're, you know, the little ½ ounce, and we'll put them in a little beautiful little cup, put a little marinara, you know, the meatball, sprinkle a little Parmesan and fresh basil on top, stick it with a toothpick, put them on these pretty little trays and set them out everywhere, and they go like hotcakes, right? But we're charging anywhere from $4 to $5 a head. Super easy to do. It's not time consuming. You didn't have to go take 3 hours to go make meatballs. Just use the nice ones that Fontanini have.
That's genius.
Listen, Tony can make good meatballs, but I can't make good meatballs, right? So at the end of the day, you know, get what you can get. And that's a phenomenal product right there alone.
I'm the biggest proponent of outsourcing my food.
Right.
My pizza competition over at Expo, I used Dave's Hot Chicken.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd use Dave's Hot Chicken for the chicken, the kale slaw, and the mac and cheese.
Right.
But you know, the ability to put things together and execute with all of the different dynamics of baking, you know,
that's right.
That's where it shined.
That's right.
Right. So like, if you have to, and then the other guy I met just last week, he was like, I just bought this salad from Costco, put it together, right? Because it's not, you know, they're here for the pizza.
That's right.
But like having these add-ons just is not only like, I think, good for a business, but it goes back to that yes mentality that we're talking about, because you wouldn't offer it if customers weren't asking for it.
That's right. Well, think of it like that. You're 100% right. 1, 2, they're going to have to outsource it anyways.
Right.
Because they want that. Now, let's go back to corporate. Why would someone want appetizers? Well, they want to eat at, I'm just going to go randomly, 1 o'clock. Hey, we're going to go ahead and put apples out at 1 while they're finishing up their meeting. And 1:20, we'll go ahead and launch the buffet. But it gave us 20 minutes to feed appetizer. They crush them really quick. But that gives us time on the back end, too, to load up more pies, to get ahead of the curve for that production.
Gotcha. So wait, here, give me the high level. How are you cranking out 100+ pizzas in an hour?
Yeah, so we use 2 different brands, Munani for their 120, or we're using a Marifoni 130. Okay, those are our 2 brands that we're using right now on the trailers.
How many pizzas can fit at once?
10 10-inch pizzas.
Okay.
I like to teach my guys to stay to 7 and 8, because and you understand this, when you're cranking out that fast, I can kill a floor in 30 minutes.
Yes.
20 minutes, I can kill, I don't care how hot that floor is, I personally can kill that floor in 20 minutes just by cranking out, filling the floor in. The art of wood fired is making sure you're using the right, you know, different dynamics, where it's hot, where it's cold, reheating. I might be shuffling some coals over here to the cold spot because I'm still in production. So I might have to go to 4 pies in the oven at one time, but I'm reheating the front 4, you know, spots. We're doing a lot of, it's a lot, right? But to get that 100 pies out in an hour, that's the only way to do it. Now, we did a big financial company in Charlotte, and they had 275 people, and they had to be fed in 30 minutes. How do you do that? Cool, got you. We set up 2 buffets and brought 2 trailers.
You said that's genius, obviously, right?
No, not everybody can do it that way.
Not everyone can do it that way, but you're essentially just having, you could do 10 pizzas at a time, maybe 7 at a time, and you're just
And we're
popping
doing
them
a
out.
3 to 4 minute cook.
3 to 4
We're
minutes.
doing American
Oh, wow.
wood fired. We're not doing Neapolitan.
Damn.
Yeah. So we're just doing a 3-4 minute cook.
Okay, so, and you said you're sometimes reheating the pizza just a little bit in the front, or are you?
No,
are
I
you-
was talking about the stone. I'm bringing, like when I go to kill the floor, there's times we have to take the ashes and put over.
So you're doing fresh pies every time, no
Every
parving.
time,
Damn,
correct,
dude.
yeah.
Okay.
Now our festivals, we've mastered the art of par baking, where we just do the dough and do 1 ounce of cheese on top. No sauce, no cheese, just a little sprinkle of cheese so it doesn't like blow out. And then we're cooking 400 or 500 of those off, and then we're using that at the festival, sauce, cheese, and we have to go a little lighter on the cheese so it melts faster, and then whatever toppings they want, and we're just cranking them out that way too.
Okay. I'm going to ask you another, I think, hot take type of question. But before I ask that, on the note of cheese, congratulations to you. You just became an ambassador for Baccio cheese.
Yes, I'm super pumped.
What does that mean to you, man?
Well, it shows 20 years of hard work, respecting the craft, respecting the process of life, and I've been very open-minded the last few years of trying new things and different products, right? Seeing a company come out saying how their cheese performs and how well they have done it, it's hard to believe until you try it, right?
Yes.
And I've always been stuck in my ways. I like using certain brands, and I do till the day I die, or till the day that someone brings a product that just shines. And when I went down the rabbit hole working with Baccio and trying some of the products, I am also sponsored by PFG and Performance Food Group. So when I started traveling with them and getting to see it every other week and getting to play with it, try it, I kind of fell in love, and I was like, wow. But I did the whole, I'm scared to pull the plug. So I brought 10 people in that I trusted very heavily, and 9 out of 10 chose that pie that day, and it blew my mind.
Full circle, man.
It blew my mind. And so now listen, and I say this very proudly, I am a diehard of a lot of brands, and I respect everybody out there, but it was a move for me, and it was like, hey, I found someone that I feel like I can put some legs behind this and try something that nobody else was doing. And for us in Baccio, it was like, hey, this is a big move. For me personally, it was a huge deal. And it was scary because what are my customers going to say, right? And, last week we were up, I think, 20% over year. I don't know if it was the cheese or if it was just me smiling, but we're up, so it didn't hurt us.
Maybe a combination of both.
That's right. And so, I got to think about my franchisees too, and they're giving us an opportunity for them to have an opportunity as well in life of giving back and doing the right thing in the community. So I'm excited, but nervous at the same time, because at the end of the day, you want to perform for them too. You want to make things happen. But anybody that's been stuck in their same ways, don't be scared to try something fresh, something new, even in other products. I've tried 110 pepperonis this year alone, just trying to find, hey, what's out there, what's not, But John and Darren Izzo, they're my go-to guys right now. Like,
yep.
I love Izzo pepperoni. I've been Fontanini since I was a kid, so I can't go wrong with that. And then Hormel, I love them to death. They've got some products that are coming out that are swinging, just phenomenal products. And you get scared when you get with some of the bigger companies. What are they doing? Yes, they like to drive the bottom line, but are they still innovating? And Hormel has definitely done that. So, those are some of my favorites right now that have really done phenomenal. And, Tom Quarterposse is a great friend. The Quarterposse family, they've been with me since I was a kid, and, we use pretty much every one of their lines. I take just my regular pizza sauce. I mix 3 different cans just to say I do, you know, because we love it, you know.
Yeah, it gives you that unique. This is my sauce, right? Because anybody could just pop a can of Alta Cachunas and throw some salt in it and call it a day. But like mixing those 3, that's smart.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, like with Baccio, man, like they've got some products up the line that like I never even thought about, like being able to take a fresh block and let it just get hot, and then pinch it, put it on your pizza. Never done that, and I was like, we started playing with that. I was like, that's a whole different flair right there. Like that's different, you know. And you know, so it's being open minded, right? And like learning, pizza is evolving so much, and so I've had a good time with Baccio. They're teaching me some new things, and it's been fun.
Well, that goes back to your like always learning, always getting better type of mentality. Yeah. And that open-mindedness is like so key. I heard Alex Coons, his podcast the other day, Pie to Pie, he was like, man, I used to be so closed off and very specific to my brands, but we're literally just having that open-mindedness is everything, because the world is always changing.
Right.
New products are always popping up. And like you said, just go out there and taste it. I got an interview with Baccio. It's out there in the world somewhere, but that was my recommendation. Just go out and try it and let it speak for itself.
Well, you know, as people are twisting my arm with, you can't call it fresh, or you can't call it mozzarella cheese, and I'm like, yeah, because it's got a kiss of buffalo in it. What's the problem now? What's next? That's the only reason you don't want to use it, you know, like just because it say mozzarella on it, like, and you got to get educated. I didn't know, like it just says pizza cheese. Like, okay, cool. But what's the reason behind it? Well, it's got buffalo milk in it. And with the advisory board, you can't just come out and say mozzarella, because it does have something else in it.
California milk cheese, baby.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like it is what it is. So, but I love that, because now I got a kiss of buffalo. So when I'm messing with my customers again, I'm like, hey, I just put a little kiss of buffalo in here for y'all.
Do you want your pizza? What? Do you want your pizza with a kiss today?
Yeah. So they love it, you know. And guess what? It's a different marketing tactic nobody's using right now. What do you mean it's a kiss of buffalo? Like, you know, that's what they use in
another
Italy,
way to stand out and strengthen the brand.
That's right.
I love it.
And their support group behind them. Like, you know, hey, you get pizza cutters, you get, you know, different tools, and they give you measuring cups. They give you, you know, all the great things that you need to do to be successful. I mean, that's a big play. You know, they really care about that side of things. For the local guy.
Well, congratulations on making the right move for your growth and your business. And I'm happy for you, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Happy to have you on the team.
Yeah, no, this is great. Yeah, this has been fun.
Hot take. Last one before we got to get you out of here. Added gratuity fee, 20%. Tacking it on. Is it automatic or is it earned?
It's definitely tacked on at the front side. But no, I do 18. I do 18%.
Okay, 18. But any sort of tacked on.
So let me tell you I didn't believe this.
I don't believe it.
Okay, good. Watch this. Just do it and see what happens.
I know, but why don't we just increase your prices?
I got burned 10 times in a row. Now I got guys going out there eating, breathing, hoping for a tip, right?
Yeah.
And I'm speaking on the wedding side of things, okay? And then let's go to the private events. We have had absolutely no one bark, complain. I pulled the needle 3 years ago and said, no, 2 years ago. No, give me 3, okay? We've been in business 5 years for the King of Fire brand. And we pulled it 2 years in. I pulled the plug because we'd go check in with them. Oh, everything was great. Oh, this is that. But they're so busy in that moment of the pool party or whatever, they're dealing with everybody, they forget the tip. It's just forget. It's a simple forget, and it's an insult to us. But at the end of the day, I had to take it on the chin and say they just forgot. Or you're the owner. Why do I have to tip the owner? Okay, pulled the plug, started adding on, and never looked back, and never had a complaint about it. And matter of fact, my guys actually get, and my ladies managers, they get tipped on top of that in cash because we make sure we go over and beyond.
I love it. I just got burned the first time. And so that's why
I'm going to convert them. I'm going to convert them.
I think me and my wife are going to have a talk about it because we don't agree. But
here's the thing. I understand because it is kind of like a slap to your customer that you're throwing on there. I get it. I feel it. Try it one time. Just say, hey, we do add on 18%, but we don't nickel and dime on everything else, right?
I'm going to try it.
Try it. See what happens. If they bark, then you call me.
will.
Because then we're going to have another talk about it. We're going to figure it out. But I want, because it is added money. It's big money.
It's big money.
I mean, we got $15,000 wedding coming up. Think on 18% on that.
Sheesh.
And then we're splitting that between 5-6 people at that time. And I got 16-year-old kids making so much money. I mean, they're making $60 an hour when you look at the big scheme.
If I'm gonna do it for anyone, it's gonna be for my staff, because I
Right.
want to say that I can pay people $60 an hour because
That's
of
right.
it.
You have to. You have to.
You've convinced me.
Don't do it for you. Do it for your staff.
100.
Yay!
Final question for you, Siler. You know
Okay.
you got to get out of here. No right or wrong answer.
Okay.
What's good dough?
Oh, love it. I love a dough that's been fermenting for a while. Just let it do its course. I don't like Russian dough. I hate that, right? Or using cold dough. I just love something that's been fermenting for a while. I do like a little higher. I've educated myself on loving a little higher hydration. Doesn't have to be killer, just a little bit more. But I like to see it fermentate and let Mother Nature do its course. And then when you go to push it out and cook it, and you're respecting the push out, and you're not beating the dough, like slapping it, going crazy with it, you're methodically thinking through getting those nice air bubbles in there to let it pop. I like a dough that has a little crunch on the front end, nice and airy in the inside, maybe just a little chew, but that's it. And that's what I love for. I look for it every day and trying to make that perfect little dough. But I chase that every day, trying to make the perfect one, so I can look at my guys and my girls and say, that's the one. I think this is it right there, you know? And they love it, you know? So that's what I chase every day. And I'm going to chase it next week in Naples. I'm coming. If Tony G would call me and say, hey, Sally, this is the secret. But they all want you to work for it. So
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you being on.
And less junk inside, man. I'm a simple guy. I with our wood-fired pizzas, we do yeast, salt, and oil, and that's it. And Tony laughed at me. He said, well, you kind of could take the oil out, but leave it in because it's actually working really well. But when I do anything under 600, I do malt. I do malt. I don't do sugar or anything. I used to do sugar back in the day, but now I'm converted to malt. But besides that, the less in there, the better. Let it be natural.
I love it.
And watch out for people. They're starting to mix flours. That's going to be a thing in the next 2-3 years. You're going to see more and more mixing the flours, really getting, really defining that part. I can't wait to see what some are doing. I already know what a lot of people are doing now, and it's phenomenal. But I think someone's going to come up with something that's just going to blow us all out of the water, and it's going to be, I can't wait to see it.